Welcome to Seagull Maritime's series on elementary first aid. In this video, you will look at the various causes of unconsciousness you may encounter as a first aider. Throughout, you will be asked to pause the video and reflect on what you have seen and heard. Ideally, you should watch this with at least 2 of your colleagues so that you can engage in group discussion.
In order to successfully treat an unresponsive casualty, it's important that you can identify the cause of their unconsciousness. One way to remember all of these is with the word fish-shaped. Using this method, the first thing to remember is faint. These are caused by a drop of blood flow to the brain, causing the person to black out temporarily. They generally last no longer than 30 seconds to a minute and don't usually have any long-lasting effects. But be careful, because if the person is unconscious for longer than 2 minutes, it is something other than a simple faint. Unconsciousness can also occur if there is a change in body temperature of only a few degrees, and this can cause an imbalance of heat. If the temperature drops below 35 degrees Celsius, mild hypothermia will occur. As it continues to fall, the casualty will have lowered levels of response from about 33 degrees Celsius, will be unconscious by 30 degrees Celsius, and will appear dead when their temperature drops to 28 degrees Celsius and lower. A hypothermic casualty must always be warmed slowly by around 1 to 2 degrees Celsius an hour before being classed as a non-survivor, which is defined as being warm and dead. But it is not only temperatures decreasing that can cause unconsciousness. If a person's temperature rises above 40 degrees Celsius, it can cause heat stroke, which can be fatal. Hypervolemic shock occurs when there is a loss of fluid from the body, either through bleeding, burns or dehydration caused by severe diarrhea and vomiting. The reduction in fluid from the circulation leads to unconsciousness and possibly death. It can also occur very quickly if major blood vessels are damaged. Head injuries are classified into 3 categories: concussion, skull fracture, and compression. Concussions are minor injuries that occur when someone has had a blow to the head. This causes a short-lived loss of mental function and is seen as the least serious type of brain injury. Skull fractures occur when part of the skull is broken or cracked. There will often be a depression where the injury has occurred, and there will be blood-stained fluid leaking from the nose and ears. The last type of head injury is known as compression. This is a potentially fatal injury that happens when the brain is squashed, either because it has swollen or by bleeding into the skull. As both a concussion and a skull fracture can lead to a compression injury, it's essential that you watch any casualty with a minor head injury for any deterioration in condition for at least 48 hours and report any changes.
Why is it important to consider the cause of unconsciousness when delivering first aid to an unconscious casualty? Click the pause button and start your discussion.
Strokes occur when the blood supplied to part of the brain is cut off, leading to long-term damage. You can often identify a stroke by performing a FAST test. Check for facial weakness. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? Next, check their arms. Can they hold them there? Then check their speech. Is it slurred, or does it sound unusual? If you see any of these signs, you should get medical help fast. Heart attacks occur when a blood vessel in the heart becomes blocked by a blood clot, causing part of the heart muscle to die. The amount of muscle affected by the heart attack will determine how much damage is done to the cardiac muscles. Anything more than 25% will be fatal. Asphyxia is anything that prevents oxygen entering the bloodstream. There are many potential causes, but the treatment is generally the same. Remove the casualty from the cause, or the cause from the casualty, and try to restore breathing. In the case of choking, which occurs when something gets stuck in the trachea and prevents the passage of air, there may be some difficulty removing the blockage. To treat a choking casualty, you should first try to calm and reassure them. Encourage them to try to cough up the obstruction. If this doesn't work, stand beside the casualty and deliver up to 5 sharp blows between the shoulder blades with the heel of your hand, supporting their upper chest as you do so. Watch to see if the obstruction comes out with each blow, and don't be gentle. If this doesn't work, stand behind the casualty and place your hand flat on their abdomen. Find the approximate location of the belly button with your little finger. Form a fist, and turn your hand so your thumb is against the casualty's body. Reach around with the other hand and grasp your fist. Using sharp inward and upward movements, pull your fists into the casualty's abdomen, watching to see if the obstruction is cleared with each thrust. The amount of force you use should lift the casualty off their feet, and can be repeated up to 5 times. If this is unsuccessful, repeat the cycle of back blows and abdominal thrusts. If you have repeated the cycle 3 times without success, support the casualty down to the floor and prepare to start CPR. Poison can enter the body in 4 ways: inhalation, ingestion, absorption, and injection. It can be caused by drugs, alcohol, smoke, gases, fumes from chemicals, absorption through the skin and eyes, or injection from things such as high-pressure fuel lines. Poison can be corrosive or non-corrosive and must be treated by following MSDS instructions. Epilepsy is one of the reasons why people have major seizures, which are another cause of unconsciousness. They happen when nerve impulses in the brain start to fire off in all directions, causing involuntary movement and muscle spasms. Although epilepsy is rare amongst crew, there are a number of causes of seizures on board, including head injuries. Whatever the cause, it's important that the length of seizures are timed, as they can last anywhere from seconds to hours. You should seek medical advice for any seizure that lasts longer than 10 minutes, as this would be classed as an emergency. Diabetes is an illness that affects the levels of sugar in the blood. Hyperglycemia occurs when levels are too high. Although it is usually a slow process, taking around 48 hours, the casualty can become unconscious if sugar levels are not reduced. They will need insulin to treat this, which would be administered by the medical officer. However, insulin is not generally carried on board, as the dosage must be carefully monitored. Hypoglycemia occurs when sugar levels drop. This is a much quicker cause of unconsciousness, which can occur within a couple of hours. Anyone suffering from this should be given sugary drinks or chocolate to raise their sugar levels.
Throughout this video, we have used the term fish-shaped to remember the causes of unconsciousness. As an exercise, write down as many of the causes you can remember. Click the pause button and start your discussion.
So, if you remember what fish-shaped stands for: faint, imbalance of heat, shock, head injury, stroke, heart attack, asphyxia, poisons, epilepsy, and diabetes, you should be able to identify the cause of unconsciousness and play your part in potentially saving a casualty's life.